Hello and welcome back to episode 4 of the Shark Source podcast. I'm joined by Shaedon Shergill, and we got a lot to discuss today. We're going to be talking NBC finally released their schedule for the 2018-19 season. We're going to talk about that, who's going to be on the schedule. Definitely not what most people expected, and it seems to be what most people wanted. We'll get into that in just a second. We're also going to be talking Mark Letestu, pro tryout contract with the Panthers. We're also going to be talking Brady Tkachuk signing with the Senators and Quinn Hughes not signing with the Canucks. He's going back to Michigan. And we'll talk more stuff besides that later in the show. But first, we're going to start off with the schedule. So, Shaedon, what are your thoughts of the schedule just right off the bat? I'll have it in the description below.
Well, first of all, when I first saw it, I was happy because, it was more diversity of how NBC put it. We got different talented teams. Like they said, they showed more love to Canada. Just the variety, that really appeals to me. And also, that, teams like Arizona got a bit more games and, teams like Detroit and LA saw real decreases, and they really, I think, want to try to make the fans happy. But there's still those couple of teams that still have a lot of games. But I think it's a step in direction. Maybe next year they can add more games to the schedule because more people are gonna watch these games. If there's more teams, more variety and stuff. So I'm really happy with the schedule they had out.
Yeah. Previously, ever since NBC's been broadcasting games, it's been more about teams. So they pick the big market teams, and that's who's broadcast. It's not doing that anymore. NBC and the NHL, they've seen the success of the NBA. They highlight stars. Cleveland, that's a really small market compared to most cities. And New York is the biggest market in the country. And they're barely on TV for basketball because their team isn't good and they don't have stars. Well, when LeBron was on, Cleveland, they'd be on TV every week. And while I think basketball is a very boring sport, they succeed in making it very popular. I mean, it's everywhere. You can't even escape it now on radio in the U.S. But how they do it is they highlight their stars. And that's what NHL and NBC is doing. They've done away with Wednesday night rivalry, and that's good because really there's not actually a whole lot of rivalries in the NHL that they're going to put on TV. There's probably about, half a dozen total rivalries that are real rivalries, not just made-up ones. Like Boston-Tampa, there's no rivalry there. They were just putting, basically what it was is they were just putting big market teams against each other who go back a long time but don't necessarily have rivalries and saying they had rivalries. So they got rid of that. Now it's just Wednesday night hockey, and they are putting an emphasis on stars. So whether or not the Stars play in Canada, they're going to be on TV. And one of the, most bold moves I thought they had was October 24th, the Leafs are playing the Jets. So I think that might be the first time they've ever broadcast a regular season game where there's two Canadian teams going against each other. I haven't seen that, I don't think. Maybe they had a Leafs-Habs one once, I'm not sure, but this is huge. And that's a big risk.
I believe.
Yeah, go ahead.
I actually believe that last season that when Otto's in that outdoor team, I think that
they broadcasted that one. The outdoor one, but that's a special event, so there's a reason for that. They did broadcast that one, and they also they joined in progress the Leafs Oilers, but this is this is at 4:30 Pacific time, so 7:30 Eastern. This isn't the nightcap game where they'll sometimes sneak in a Canadian team. This is prime time, pretty much half an hour from prime time. And they're putting in two Canadian teams. So they're really committed to promoting stars instead of teams. And I think this is huge. That said, they're still going with the big markets, and that's sort of understandable. Chicago still has the most games. They've got 19. Boston still got a lot of games. New York has decreased games, but they still got quite a bit. But they've done good stuff too. Tampa, I think they're the best team in the league right now. They got 12. They're being moved up. And, the Sharks, they got 8. They've been sort of bouncing back and forth. Now, I don't actually like it when the Sharks are on national TV. I prefer the local TV. I think they do a better job. And also, they're never joined in progress. It always starts when it starts. But it is nice that they at least recognize that the Sharks are a good team. Vegas is getting 9 games, as they should. But there's also some teams that a lot of people are saying are underrepresented. The Hart Trophy winner Taylor Hall and his Devils only have 2 games.
Yeah, 2 games.
So, Shaedon, who's a team you think is underrepresented in this new schedule?
There's a lot of teams. I'm going to name a couple here because there's not one particular team in general. First of all, the Florida Panthers. Now, I know they're not a huge hockey market, but with the way they finished last season, and they're going to push for a playoff spot this year, and guys like Barkov, Ekblad, Huberdeau, Trocheck, Tippett could come up. That's a good young core, and, as they make the playoffs, they're going to be on TV a lot because they're a young team that might make it far, but, I think Florida really got nothing here for one game. And that game, I think, is against the Jets and
it's weird. This is weird. Yeah, it's the Finland game. I was going to say, I'm wondering why the time is at 2 p.m. on a weekday. But yeah, it's because it's the international series game. So it's not even it counts as regular season, but it's just a gimmick, really, those games. And so that's on NBCSN. So yeah, they don't even get a real home game on there. So Florida sort of gets robbed there, which is unfortunate because they would have made the playoffs if they hadn't had injuries earlier in the season. So they'll need to have success for the NHL to recognize them. Now Edmonton, they did way better than I thought they would. They got 7 games.
I did not. I have to be honest. When we didn't make the playoffs, I was kind of concerned how Edmonton was going to do on the schedule because I still thought they were going to get games because it's Connor McDavid, but I was thinking they're either going to get a bit of an increase to maybe 4 or a bit of a decrease to 2. And when I saw they had 7, I was like, wow. In my opinion, it's the Connor McDavid fact. He's one of the best players in the game, and, you want to show him to an American audience that won't get to see him play as much. And, if Edmonton goes far in the playoffs, and they still might. I'm not saying anything, but Edmonton could become one of the teams that can play 12 games in the NBC schedule. But I was shocked to see them get more games than a team like Toronto or someone like the Habs or even the Jets. By the way, they made how far they went in the playoffs, but I was shocked, to be honest.
Yeah, no, what was so surprising was that they got more games than some American teams. Columbus got 2 games. And, they did much better than Edmonton did last season. Yeah. So, it really is about the Stars. They won, not the Dallas Stars, by the way, they got robbed. They only got 1 game, which is ridiculous. But it's about the star players. They want to showcase them. And I think it's a good idea. And another reason I think it's a good idea is last season, Winnipeg went on their playoff run. And their games they got lower ratings than the ones that featured only U.S. teams in the U.S. Though they did get better ratings than a lot of people expected. And one reason for that is that no one really knew who they were in the U.S. We never saw them on TV last season. Maybe we saw them once. I'm not sure. But we really barely ever saw them. Occasionally we'd see them NHL Network. So no one really knows who they are. And if you don't know who a team is, you're less likely to watch it, especially if you're a casual fan. So the casual fans, this gives them an opportunity to see players, and then in the playoffs they'll recognize them, which I think is great.
Yeah. speaking about the playoffs, it's kind of weird how in Canada, I believe that we have like a tons of different sports channels. I think they broadcast some of NBC Ascend's live feeds too, which is kind of weird. And do you think that those games actually have lower ratings than some of the other games, which is kind of expectable? But like you said, if you don't really broadcast that team, they wouldn't do well. And I agree with you there. But if Winnipeg, if NBC actually recognized Winnipeg, in my opinion, they would have probably been the most watched playoff series besides probably Pittsburgh, of course, in that playoffs because, once again, it's a small market team, young players, and with that Cinderella run, they went on, maybe I think that the Stanley Cup Finals would have been way more interesting. Probably would have got more views if it was Winnipeg and probably instead of a team like Vegas.
No, I gotta disagree there. Vegas, because they're an expansion team, that got huge ratings. In the U.S., in Canada, I'm sure Winnipeg would have got higher ratings, but no, Vegas was huge. I do think Winnipeg overachieved a bit last season, and I think there's going to be some regression. But still having them in, I'm not going to spoil too much because we are coming up on preseason, probably a month or so away. And as soon as preseason's over, I'm releasing not only my season predictions, which is not only standings but playoffs too. I'm also doing my power rankings, which I'll update weekly. But I don't want to spoil any of that. But Winnipeg, they'll definitely be interesting, and that playoff run is definitely a reason that they are featured so much in this schedule. So, Shaedon, what's one matchup? I don't want to put you on the spot here, so I can give you time to look for one while I list out mine. What's one matchup that you are excited for on this schedule? And I'm going to list out mine. I've got Sunday, February 10th. I got St. Louis at Nashville on 12:30 p.m. on NBC, the main channel. This is going to be a great game. I think both of those teams are in the playoff, will be in the playoff hunt. I think Nashville might have locked up the division by then. They're very good, even though it's early. But that's just going to be a really great battle. We did a rematch of that playoff series in 2017. So I'm excited for that, and I'm glad NBC is highlighting the Predators more because I think they're a very exciting team.
So I already found one game. I already had this in mind. Now, keep in mind, I live in Canada, so I don't get to see any of these NBCSN games unless maybe Edmonton's playing because it's a local market. I don't know. I don't really know how that works, but I'm going to say two games because I don't want to really feel biased here. So February 13th, Edmonton, Pittsburgh, 8 p.m.
That's going to be a game.
Wednesday
Crosby,
night
McDavid.
And once again, it's Crosby versus McDavid. That's going to have a lot of views. So, that's just going to be an amazing game, fun game. Now, if we're going to, if I have to pick another game, I would say, man, there's so many good games on the schedule, though.
Yeah.
There really is. I'm just looking through it. I would probably say Montreal, Boston. Once again, you have to stick to classics. It's a original six rivalry, one of the biggest rivalries in sport, in my opinion. You have to watch this game if you're a hockey fan.
Yeah, I think it'll be they've got the rivalry. Unfortunately, unfortunately for Habs fans, I think it's sort of become a one-sided rivalry.
Yeah.
Because a lot of Boston had a great season last year. Montreal didn't, and I don't think Montreal is going to improve very much. But I'm excited for this season. This is going to be a good schedule. Also, the All-Star game. I'm reading the press release. It's going to be the first time it's in prime time, and it's in San Jose. Too bad it's way too expensive to even consider going.
Yeah.
But
actually, I have to say one thing. I was also shocked when Montreal got one game in a team like Calgary, who I didn't expect at all to be on the schedule for obvious reasons, and Arizona to get more games than Montreal. Arizona getting more games than Montreal kind of says something.
Well, here's how you got to look at it, right? It doesn't matter, in Canada, the market size matters, but here, there's not a lot of. It doesn't really matter the Canadian market size because it's going to be microscopic here because there's not too many. There's not a big demographic of people move from Canada, so it's going to be people watching for the star players. And Montreal has one, Carey Price, and maybe Shea Weber's like a very semi, like only people in Nashville might watch that. And then Calgary's got Johnny Hockey, an American. They've got Monahan. They got a lot of good players, so I can understand why they would be on. One more thing, if you are in Canada and you are looking to watch them with the NBC feed, I don't really know why you would, because most of the Canadian announcers are better, especially the analysts. Mike Milbury is a joke, but you can do so on reddit.com/NHL streams, and they'll usually post streams. Now, unfortunately, most of them are low quality. You definitely want to have ad block because there are a lot of pop-up ads. But if you can deal with that and you really want to see the NBC commentary, you can find it there, reddit.com/NHL streams.
This is a kind of weird thing I do. It's kind of weird. I don't know why I do it, just maybe for fun. What I do is after every Edmonton game, I usually go to the other team's website and watch their commentary for some reason. I don't know. It just attracts me.
That makes sense. I do the same. I often do the same. I like hearing both sides of the commentary.
Yeah.
All right. So that's it for that. The schedule. So we are going to be moving on to Mark Letestu's PTO and Brady Tkachuk's decisions to sign rather than go to college. We'll be right back. And we are back. So we're talking Mark Letestu first. He signs a professional trial contract with the Panthers. He's 33 years old, a former Edmonton Oiler. Shaedon, what are your thoughts on this?
I just mean like Florida, I think that they need another top 9 forward to really put them over the edge, Letestu is a versatile player, he can play the wing, he can play the center, he can do well in the penalty kill, he can be your trigger man on the power play like Edmonton did. I think he put up 15, 16 goals. Letestu is a really good third, fourth liner that could put up 30 points. With Florida, I think they need more forward, that this would definitely help them.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is going to be a good move for them. Last season, he only played 20. He played 60 games with Edmonton, was traded at the deadline to Columbus. So in total last season, he put up 9 goals, 14 assists for 23 points. I don't know if so he's 33 years old, so he doesn't have a lot of time left, but definitely I think there's a chance he could make the Panthers.
I think the thing is that Letestu had kind of a down year last year, which is true, obviously, but I think he can definitely rebound, not for long. I think with this Florida Panther group, he could put up 30 points, like I said, but his time is on his side, but if Florida does sign him, it's a good move. If not, they lost nothing. Now the interesting thing is that when Edmonton traded Letestu to Nashville first, because that's how we got Aberg, then Nashville traded Letestu to Columbus. I think that was Letestu's second stint with Columbus, and he always said that he's okay with coming back to Columbus because I think that he owns a house there. He spent most of his NHL career here, So if there's one place that Letestu would go to besides Florida, it would probably be Columbus. If not, I could see him maybe coming back to Edmonton because that's where he was born. And I think he does have a house here in the summer. But Columbus could be on Letestu as well if he doesn't make the Panthers roster.
Here's why I don't think he will be on the Blue Jackets, it's because if he played for them, he probably gave him a chance to sign him, and they probably told him that they weren't interested in signing him, and because he would want to stay with that team. But if they told him he's not interested, then he's more open to take his spot with the Panthers. Yeah. From Elk Point, Alberta, so northeast of Edmonton. But yeah, so local guy. I could see him going back if he doesn't make the Panthers. The reason I think he should make the Panthers is they still have Derek McKenzie, who I'm really not sure why he's still in the NHL. He's their captain, so
you know what?
I don't know.
I questioned that move at first, making him captain, but I'm kind of tired of seeing these teams giving their best players the captaincy. Sure, they have some leadership quality, but I think that's the most leader, the most, the guy with the most leadership should get it. And, that's why I'm really tired of seeing guys, the best players getting captaincy. Like, Getzlaf guys make
Landeskog. I don't understand. He doesn't seem like much of a captain, but yeah.
Now, people...
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Now, people have criticized, Edmonton giving out McDavid a captaincy.
That he deserves.
If you watch the second round, every time Getzlaf or Kessler push him around, he didn't mind, he acted mature, even in Game 7 when Nick Ritchie scored the second goal, everybody had their heads down. McDavid was patting guys on the back, You need a guy like that on the team. That's your captain. So, you need a guy like that. And I'm afraid that some captains don't really do that, and they're just getting it because they're the best player.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. McDavid is 100% a leader. He's like Crosby, and I don't want to get off topic, but I do think you need a captain. I hate it when teams don't name a captain. I think what the Leafs are doing is ridiculous. Matthews has deserved that, not just because he's the best player, but he's a leader. You can just tell from the way the guys talk about him, he'd be a great captain. Marlowe could be a captain. I don't think Tavares should get it over Matthews. But on to the Panthers, sure, you don't always pick the best player. You pick the guy with the most leadership. And McKenzie might have a lot of leadership. But if he can't play, then he should be an assistant coach. If you're a great leader but can't play, your job's behind the bench, not on the ice. So I think Letestu is probably better than Derek McKenzie, and he's got a good chance of making the Panthers over McKenzie. And that's pretty much it for him. We'll keep you updated on him, the former Oiler, former Blue Jacket, former Penguin, possible future Panther. We'll let you know whether or not he makes the team. Next, we're going on to one of the most controversial picks in this year's draft. Brady Tkachuk, drafted by the Ottawa Senators, signs with the Senators rather than going back to college. So this is an interesting decision, especially when his countryman and friend, one of his best friends, Quinn Hughes, they were roommates on the, they said they were roommates on the U.S. National Development Program. And one chose to go back to college, one chose to sign directly with the team. So which decision do you think makes more sense? And obviously it's different for each player, but Shaedon, what are your thoughts on Brady Tkachuk going to the Senators?
It's same thing happened in Calgary where people, were enraged with Calgary for not sending back Matthew Tkachuk, and it ended up working out. Now, sure, Brady Tkachuk probably will make the Senators now, and could have a great year. The thing is that if he doesn't have a good training camp, he can either go to the AHL or to the OHL, where I believe he was imported to the Knights, where it's the same team where Matthew played for. It's going to be interesting how Brady's going to work. We've seen college players get drafted in the top 10, but most notably, it's like Jack Eichel Hansen going to make the NHL right in the get-go. But, I'm kind of confused about Tkachuk. He could play half of the season in the AHL, half in the NHL. You get to play a full season in the AHL. Like, there's so many possibilities, you know.
Well, he actually can't. I don't even know if he can play in the AHL. It's being rumored he's gonna play on London in the OHL.
Well, if that's I'm really confused about this decision then, because
exactly,
it's like if you're going to the OHL, just stay in college, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It doesn't really make sense. The OHL and the NCAA. There's a huge debate among fans which is better, and I would totally watch. I think an amazing game that they should have. An exhibition game, but the players would play hard because there'd be scouts in the crowd. The national championship winner in the NCAA versus the Memorial Cup winner. That would be just a great game to watch, and I think it would draw. I would love to see that, and it would finally, give us an idea of which is better. So I think he can play in. I'm not even sure if Brady Tkachuk can play in the. I think he could play in either of those leagues. The reason most OHL players are ineligible is if they already signed with a team, but he hasn't. So it's being rumored he wants to go to the OHL because he knows the owners of the London Knights. So I personally think that the AHL is a better option because it's more competitive than either the NCAA or the OHL. And I understand why he wouldn't want to go to the NCAA just because he doesn't want to have to deal with all the college, the education part of being a student athlete. So that makes sense. But honestly, the Sens were so terrible, he might just make the NHL.
Yeah. But Quinn Hughes really makes sense in my opinion. Young defenseman, you don't want to rush in Vancouver because Levy might not be panning out as well. But Quinn Hughes is a good decision to go back to the NCAA. I think they have 4 or 3 years to sign him. I can't really remember, but I think that he should spend a year or two in college and come up to the big leagues. But once again, Tkachuk just doesn't really make sense.
Yeah. I think pretty much. I think college was a good level for Tkachuk. I think there's probably 2 reasons he signed with the Sens. Reason 1 would be he didn't want to deal with having to go to classes and write papers and do all the education part. And I think another reason is he has a real shot to make the team since they're not very good. But the Canucks, Quinn Hughes, I'm sure he could make the Canucks. I don't think there's much doubt about that. He's very good, and the Canucks aren't. But, he had a good situation at Michigan. He's from Michigan, I think. So it sort of makes sense for him to keep playing at college. And I also think it's sort of going to be like Brock Besser the year before last year, where he'll join them as soon as his college season is done. So he'll probably play the end of the year with the Canucks. So that'll be interesting for him. I don't think Jack Hughes, his brother, will play college hockey. Maybe just his first year when he's still not NHL eligible, but is college eligible. I'm not sure. It really depends. But he'll probably go right to the NHL because he is the number 1 prospect. But that is it for this.
Actually, there's one more thing that just happened.
Oh.
And as a Warriors fan, this pains to kill me say is, Andre Sekera is now going to be sidelined indefinitely after a torn Achilles tendon.
Wow. Yeah, I saw
Amazing. He got injured last season, and now he's going to be injured again.
Torn Achilles tendon. I mean, that's a long sideline indefinitely. I mean, indefinitely. I'm gonna guess he's gonna be out until at least he's out for the rest of 2018. I'm sure of that. A torn Achilles tendon takes a long time to heal. But and while it's good that the surgery is successful, that's a huge blow to the Oilers.
Well, I guess that means I'm just gonna get a defenseman now.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, but you know,
Who's
wow.
out there? Do you wanna? I'm going on Cap Friendly. Who's are some free agent defensemen you'd look at? There's not too many.
Not too many.
Toby Enstrom is he's old. He's 33, but is he the same side? Yeah, there's a few out there. Maybe they'll give Jason Garrison a try. Is he a right or left defenseman, Sakara?
Sakara left.
Okay, so yeah, Enstrom, Garrison. There's a few guys out there. So yeah, we'll see. But that's a huge blow.
I think that we talked about this before the podcast. We're not going to get into it. We're going to get into next season, next episode. But the fall could be a guy.
Yeah. They might have to make a trade for him now.
It's been rumored now since this happened. It's more than likely, I think, in my opinion.
Yep. All right. So that's it for this podcast. We're gonna keep you updated on this. We'll be recording a new one as soon as there's news, and if there's no news, we'll talk about rumors on our next episode. So thank you all for listening. Make sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, follow on the SoundCloud page, follow the Instagram. All of Shaedon's information is also in the description below. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next time. Hey, we just wanted to add in the end, it's been confirmed by Bob Stauffer on Twitter that the Sakara injury, he'll be out for 6 months.